Welcome back to Director's Choice. Monsters, Inc. is one of the most iconic animations ever, and Pixar gave us a cute 2-year-old main character, Boo. Boo's unique reactions to the monsters led to her friendship with Sulley, and the two friends were separated towards the end of the movie, and it seemed like there was no chance of a reunion between them, which broke our hearts, to be honest. But they somehow found each other, and we think it's because Boo learned to use magic. In this episode of Director's Choice, we're looking into how Boo learned to use magic in order to find Sulley again. How does she play a much bigger role in the Pixar movies? How does magic lead to her reuniting with Sulley? It's time to find out how Boo learns to use magic. Boo, whose real name is Mary Gibbs, named after the young actress who voiced the character, is a young 2-year-old who is not scared of monsters, unlike other human children. In Monsters, Inc., monsters appear in children's room to scare them and get them to scream. But unlike other children, Boo tends to laugh at the sight of monsters. However, Randall, a monster from the factory, was ordered to kidnap the young child.
Come on, go! Move now!
Boo escaped being kidnapped by Randall and used for trials by Mr. Waternoose, who was in charge of Monsters, Inc. While escaping her monster, Boo runs through a door and finds herself in Monsters, Inc., where Sulley and Mike Wazowski try to help her get back home. Boo is a cute character who develops a friendship with Mike and Sulley, who she calls Kitty, but after a few adventures in the factory, she's forced to return home. The door to Boo's room is destroyed, which implies that Sulley won't be able to visit her, and neither would Boo be able to visit him because doors are the only way for the monsters to travel to children's rooms. And this sets the primary base for this theory. It is believed that the doors in Monsters, Inc. are not simply transportation from the monsters' factory to the children's rooms. The doors are actually for time travel. And this makes sense because the tech the monsters have is obviously not a part of the human world at the time, though the children's cries are used to create electrical power.
What was that?
I have no idea, but it would be really great if it didn't do it again.
However, if the doors are for time travel, then it would make sense that Boo would want to travel across different timelines in search for Sulley. Boo couldn't get back to the factory since she already tried that and ended up facing the wall in her closet. But what if she could travel to a different time and learn the magic she needed to actually find Sulley, or maybe help Sulley find her? Boo's friendship with Sulley was important to her, and she didn't want to let her friend go, so it makes sense that she would try to use the doors to find her way back to him. Along the way, she picked up magic because she realized that was needed to channel the right energy through the doors to the timeline where she could find Sulley. But how does Boo actually learn magic?
You like this?
The best way to explain how Boo ends up learning magic is the Pixar theory, which John Negroni published in 2013, and in which he suggested that every Pixar movie is connected across timelines and characters. And guess who is at the core of the theory? Boo. This theory suggests that the Pixar movies begin and end with Brave, or more specifically, the witch in Brave. Since Brave is set in the oldest time in Pixar, which is ancient Pixar, so the witch's magic of turning people into bears somehow leads to superpowered humans. Then there was animosity between humans, animals, and advanced tech or toys, with the Earth being solely populated by machines, and then animals dominated, before finally they realized that humans should be left in charge. And that brings the movies to a full circle. So what does this have to do with Boo? A fast-rising fan theory, which falls in line with the grand Pixar theory, suggests that in her attempts to reunite with Sulley, Boo became the witch in Brave. And when you consider the similarities, it definitely sounds true. The witch transports herself across places through doors, and she has a fascination with wood, as is obvious in her carvings. The witch exists in a world full of magic, and she knows that wood is the primary energy to fuel the magic, which makes sense. Traveling through doors uses some energy of sorts, as she doesn't actually perform a spell to power up the doors. And what does this have to do with Monsters, Inc? The doors. Remember, at the beginning of this video, we drew a correlation between the doors and transportation. All the doors in Monsters, Inc. are wooden, and this theory suggests that in her search for Sulley, Boo discovered that the doors can travel between times, and they are a source of energy or magic, which then leads to her becoming the witch in Brave. And if you're not convinced that Boo is the witch, check out these Easter eggs. And she primarily turns people into bears, which relates to Sulley because he's sort of an advanced bear, a pointer in the direction of the Pixar theory that suggests that animals evolved over time, perhaps to become the monsters we see in Monsters, Inc. In 2021, the Nobodies podcast supported this theory by observing more clues in the Brave movie that relate to Boo and Monsters, Inc.
After Sulley and Mike left Boo, she missed them a lot and always wanted to try to go find them again. And she discovered a way to use magic to travel through doors. Boo from Monsters, Inc. is actually the witch from Brave. And she also has a carving of Sulley like on a piece of wood. And she has a model of Randall from Monsters, Inc. And on her desk, there's also a wood carving of the Pizza Planet truck, which shows that she could time travel because in Brave, the Pizza Planet truck did not exist yet.
And this almost perfectly aligns with our theory that Boo learned to use magic and time travel while trying to find Sulley. If Boo traveled through time, learned how to use magic, and became a witch in her search for Sulley, it would only make sense that she starts the evolution of animals that later became the monsters. It may sound like a reach, but it's very likely that Boo is the witch in Brave. However, it's also a possibility that the witch simply started the evolution that led to the existence of the monsters. After all, it's a world of magic with endless possibilities. Boo and Sulley's separation was one of the saddest scenes in animation, but thankfully, Sulley found his way back to her. So what do you think? Did Boo learn to use magic and become a witch? Let us know in the comments. That's all for today. Thanks for joining us on the breakdown of the theory suggesting that Boo learns to use magic. Take a moment to look at this other recent clip by Director's Choice, and be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring that bright notification bell to get alerts for our latest videos.